What's up? What's going on, bro? You alright?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Yes, I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad we finally got a chance to speak. Good to see you, bro.
Yeah, man. Good to see you too.
Yeah. No, thanks for jumping on, taking the time out to speak. I'm glad we got a chance to connect. Um, so yeah, if we just start by just introducing yourself, I know a little bit about you already. Been following your page for a while now. But yeah, if you just start off just talking about a bit about your background and I guess how you started doing Global Shift and what got you into it.
Yeah, well, just to kind of give the listeners an idea of where I come from, um, so that they have an understanding of the process and the journey that I have
Yeah,
taken, and to get myself to where I'm at
for sure.
currently. So both my parents were involved in gangs, and I was raised in East LA. And growing up, my role models or my mentors were those who were committing crimes, who were writing on walls, who were shooting other people, who were going to jail, who were doing drugs, who were selling drugs, robbing people. So those are the people that I looked up to and that I wanted to be like. And so, for those who are familiar with the programming of the subconscious mind and understanding that what we are influenced by on a daily basis, that's who we become. And
Yeah,
so, obviously I was going to become that. And so that's exactly what happened. When I was a teenager, I got into a lot of trouble, got arrested for grand theft auto, went to jail, got into a lot of fights. I've been stabbed, wrote on walls, and I did the whole nine. And so, once I was about 21, I had my son, and that began the changing process of me thinking about where I was going to be at 5, 10 years down the line. And I knew that doing what I was doing was not going to get me to a better place. It was just something that I knew inside. I didn't have anyone telling me like, hey, dude, you need to change. You need to change the way
yeah,
you're thinking. Hey, you should do this. It was more of just me reevaluating where I was at in my life and then making the proper little adjustments that I needed to make, and that I was aware of, because I didn't make big changes. It was just more of me not hanging around the same people that I was hanging around with, or doing the same things that I was doing, which was, causing trouble and committing crime. So it led me to wanting to find a better job. That's where it started, because I was working in a warehouse driving a forklift.
yeah,
And I said, man, I can't be 30 years old making $9 an hour like that. That's crazy.
yeah.
And like, what else can I do? And so I ended up working in construction, doing metal stud framing and drywall for the
Okay.
Carpenters Union, and started out like at 14, $15 an hour. Within 2 years, I was making close to $30 an hour, and I was like, man, if I could learn how to do this and make this amount of money, I wonder what else I could learn. And
Yeah,
then that started the next process of me wanting to figure out what else I could do. And then so I decided that if I was gonna make more money or get myself to a better place, it was gonna be something in business. So I enrolled into the junior college over here, and went to school for about 4 months. And the reason for that is because one of my buddies that I hadn't seen in a pretty long time, um, we crossed paths, and he was like, "Hey man, what you been up to? Let's get together."
yeah.
And we ended up getting together, and he introduced me to network marketing,
Okay.
MLM. And I never heard anything like that. And the first impression I had was, oh, one of those pyramid schemes and whatnot. So, um, but it sounded cool, and it sounded like something that I was interested in, and it made sense. And so I said, you know what, I'll give it a shot. And so I jumped in. I really sucked really bad, like really, really bad. I didn't like talking to people. I didn't like conversing with new people. I didn't like speaking in front of people. Like, I was just really closed off
Yeah,
and to myself at that time in my life. So network marketing was definitely not something for me at that time. But I was I was curious about how these people who were on stage got to where they were at. Because they look real sharp. the way they would speak, and the things that they will say. It was just powerful, and I wanted that, you know, but I just knew that I wasn't there. And
Yeah.
like I was sitting in the seats. I don't know if you ever been to a network marketing
I
event,
have.
but
Yeah. I've been
yeah,
there a couple
okay,
of times.
okay, cool. So you understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm sitting in the seats, and you know, keep in mind that I don't own any ties or any collar shirts or any nice pants, you know, at the time. So I'm sitting in the seats, and I'm looking at this guy walking across the stage, and he's like, he got his power suit on, his power tie, and his power haircut, and his powerful voice, and his powerful freaking words that he's using,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's like, I could feel it, and I'm like, I like that, like something was just like drawing me to that, and so that alone is what kept me in that game, is wanting to figure out how he got to where he was at, and what he was doing, you know, what he learned. And so I stood in a network marketing game, even though I sucked real bad. Um, but what happened was that being in that environment, it introduced me to personal growth and self development. And one of my buddies who got promoted in the business, um, one night we went out to go celebrate, and I ended up dropping him off at his place, and we were talking for maybe 4 or 5 hours, from 2 a.m. to about 7 a.m. The sun was coming up or something.
Yeah.
And the whole time we were talking, he was talking about his dreams, his vision, and he was telling me how I wasn't doing nothing with my capabilities or my possibilities that reside within me. Like, how are you just sitting there and you're not doing nothing with it? You know, like, don't you understand we have a gold mine in front of us? Don't you understand that there's a
Yeah.
dream in front of us? And nobody ever talked to me that way. And so at the end of the conversation, when he was done, the only question that I had in my mind was, what is it that got him thinking and believing the way he's thinking and believing? And so I asked him, I go, what got you thinking the way you're thinking? What got you believing the way you're believing? And that's when he told me about The Secret, Think and
Yeah.
Grow Rich,
Yeah.
and The World's Greatest Salesman.
Yeah.
And I was 26, 27 years old at that time. And I've never read a full book ever in my life, ever. Not even in school. I skimmed through pages, read, you know, the back page, and tried to do my book report by reading the back and going through a few of the
Yeah.
chapters. But I never sat and read like a book from front to back ever. And so when he told me about The Secret and he told me about the books, even though I didn't like reading, I was very curious about what was in those books. And so when I got my hands on Think and Grow Rich and I read the first chapter, I was stuck.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't put the book down. And I was like, I don't know what I'm reading, and I don't know, like, if this is true or not,
Yeah.
but it sure does feel good, right?
Yeah.
And I want it to be true. And I felt the same way when I was introduced to The Secret, or actually when I actually found The Secret. I actually went to the mall during Christmas time, and it
Yeah.
was like crazy packed, people everywhere. And I was looking for the books, and I couldn't find the books. And so, in my mind, I'm like, you know, I'm just gonna go home, you know. And so I'm walking out, and I look up the escalator, and something told me to go up the escalator. I don't know what it was, but I ended up going up the escalator, and after getting to the top, or the second floor, I walked maybe like 20 feet, and I'm standing in front of a video store, and I'm like, maybe they have The Secret in there. So I walk in,
Yeah.
and I'm looking in the documentaries, and I don't see nothing. So I'm walking out, and I go, let me ask the cashier, and it was a girl. So I walk up to her and I go, excuse me, do you have The Secret? And she's like, what do you mean, do I have The Secret? And I was like, The Secret, it's a documentary, it's a movie. And she's like, oh, she goes, yeah, I know what you're talking about. And so she goes, I remember seeing it yesterday. Let me show you where it's at. And so she walks to the area where she remembers seeing it, but it wasn't there. And so she goes, let me go check in the computer to make sure that we still have it. So she goes and checks in the computer, And she goes, "Oh, you're in luck. We have one more left, and it was probably the one I saw yesterday. It's not the same spot, but it has to be somewhere in the store or somebody stole it." And I was like, "I hope it's somewhere in the store."
Yeah.
But I didn't, I'm like, at that point, I'm like, man, am I really gonna look through the whole store to find this documentary? I was already there. Like at that point, I was like willing to do
Yeah.
whatever because I wanted to see what it was.
Yeah.
And so she goes, "I'll help you look for it, but when someone comes to the counter, I'm gonna have to go back to the counter." All right, cool. So like 3, maybe 5 minutes goes by, and she pulls it out. She's like, "I found it.
Yeah.
The best 20 something dollars that I ever spent in my life." It probably saved my life, dude, to be honest with you, because I was going through some crazy stuff at
Yeah.
that time. My cousin had just got shot, and 2 weeks prior to finding that, maybe 2 or 3 weeks
Yeah.
to finding that video, like we were looking for the dude or the guys who were responsible for shooting my cousin, and we're rolling around with guns, and like the mindset at that time was either they were gonna find us or find me and shoot first, or I was gonna find them and shoot first, or we
Yeah.
were gonna find each other and one of us was gonna shoot first. And so death was on my mind, and I started having dreams of me getting shot and me shooting people, like very vivid, waking up in cold sweats and the whole nine. And so when that video came into my life and I sat down, I popped it into my computer. The first 5 minutes of watching it blew me away, and I knew that based on what the video was saying,
Yeah.
based on what Propio we're talking about, how our thoughts and our energy, our feelings attract what it is that we experience. I never heard anything like that ever in my life. But again, it felt good. It felt like it was true, because I was able to reflect back into my past and realize that everything that I was manifesting, everything that I created in my life was based on what I was taught, based
Yeah.
on what I was surrounded by, my environment. And I was like, holy shit, it feels real. And again, I hope it is real, because
Yeah.
I'm liking the way it's feeling.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I knew that I was attracting death into my life based on what I was focusing on and based on the dreams I was having. And so in that time and space, a shift happened. And I went from consciously thinking of my thoughts and being more intentional with my thoughts, of wanting to be more positive with my thoughts and my actions than negative. And you can't just jump into being a positive person and
No.
and
Yeah.
act in positive ways.
Yeah.
It's a process, and
Yeah.
it took me years, and it's still taking me, like, even till then. It's been, I don't know, 7 years or 6 years or something. Um, that I'm still working on it. I'm still working on the reprogramming and understanding that, it really it boils down to the programming within your subconscious mind that makes the greatest difference and the change that will change the reality that you're experiencing. Once you understand that it is your responsibility to replace the old programming with new programming that you want to manifest from within, so that you can create the life that you want to experience, because you can't create a better life with the old programming. And
No.
so
Yeah.
now I'm at a point where I fully understand the process of the programming or reprogramming um, um, journey that it takes to really make that change in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a crazy story, but I think from there's quite a few good nuggets you mentioned in there, because a lot of the stuff that you were saying, I can associate with, because there's always key events that happen with your friends or with your family or in your own life that get you to reading certain things or point you in a certain direction. Like for me, a couple of years ago, I started reading a lot of books. I'd never read anything like this in school. Of course, it was just something that I stumbled across in my final year of university, and just couldn't stop reading after that. And it just reprogrammed the way I thought, because after reading one book, you get led to the next one and the next one and the next one, and it just becomes an ongoing journey of continuously learning. And so I've seen The Secret as well. I've gone through all of Bob Proctor's stuff. His stuff I really resonate with. And there was one book he mentioned, I think you might have read it already, because I saw it on your story quite a long time ago. I think it's The Power of Subconscious Mind, Joseph Murphy. It's got a black cover. It's a really powerful book, that one. And it really breaks down that your subconscious is where your mapping is, your blueprint. Everything you do, your habits, your mannerisms, the words you say, the people you hang out with, the money you make, it's all there. And if you can just open the hood, reprogram and see what's in there, and then reshift it to what you want, I've seen it in my own life. You definitely start to head in a different direction, and you start to manifest things that you can't even imagine.
Absolutely.
What was the moment for you where you thought, global shift is what I need to do? That's what I need to create, and this is the idea that I want to move forward with.
Well, after being in network marketing for about 3.5 years, I built a pretty big team with the help of my mentor. I had well over 100 partners in my organization. We had partners in North Korea. And the thing that I loved about network marketing was serving others. It was mentoring others and giving the information that I received that was helping me improve my life to other people, and showing them how it can improve their life. That was like beautiful to me. I loved that experience. And I knew that in those moments, I knew that I didn't know exactly what that meant, but I knew it was something that I wanted to continue doing in my life. I didn't realize it was my passion. I didn't realize that it was something that I loved doing at the time. I didn't realize that it was something that I was going to pursue for the rest of my life and create a future with that. I just knew I liked doing it, and it felt good, and it was a great experience, and the results from other people and what they were getting was awesome, and it was meaningful and fulfilling. So when my network marketing company fell apart due to life experiences, my car broke down, I was broke, no money was coming in, and I had a bunch of like different bills that I had to pay, debts or whatever. And so my network marketing company went downhill. And so when it went downhill, in those months, in like 2-3 months of being broke and just kind of like figuring out like, man, what am I going to do? My mom's fiance had passed away, and he was like the supporter for my family, for my mom, my 2 sisters, and my 3 younger brothers. And so they lived out in Rancho Cucamonga in a big, beautiful 5-bedroom home up in the hill. He had like a couple $1 million. So he was well off, and so he passed away, and what happened was that his artery had bursted from within him at the house, and he started throwing up blood. And my brothers and my sisters saw that happening in my mom. And so I knew it was a traumatic event for them. And so I said, you know what? I'm not doing nothing over here. So I might as well go move in with them and go support them. This was like 2014, end of 2014.
Yeah.
I said, you know what? I might as well go move in with them and support them mentally, spiritually, and guide them and make sure that they don't fall back into like a depression, or you get what I'm saying? Like I want to be that positive reinforcement for them.
Yeah.
And so I went and moved in with them, and we started having family meetings every week, putting up, I started out with a whiteboard. I put up a whiteboard, and every other day I will put up a positive quote, right? Yeah. And I started writing quotes my own quotes, like within the first year of network marketing.
Yeah.
And when I started doing that, like, and here's another thing for people who start doing something that they're really interested in doing, and they, may have a passion in, people are not gonna like praise you, and they're not gonna freaking be like, oh yeah, like majority of people are not gonna be like, oh yeah, great job. Like, there's gonna be a lot of people who are gonna be like, what do you think you're doing? Like,
Yeah.
what do you think you are, some kind of philosopher?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like, what have you done in your life for you to be trying to give quotes and,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, try to give advice? And so I got that for throughout the beginning of it, but I just continue writing my own quotes, writing my own quotes, writing my own quotes. And someone even told me, "Go, dude, you should write a book. You should put a book together with your all your quotes." And I was like, "Yeah, like, that's a good idea." And so um, I will put up quotes on this whiteboard, and we will have family meetings. And a month and a half or 2 months later, after moving in with them, I get pulled over and my license is suspended, and they take away my car. So
Yeah.
now my car is gone. I'm like, how am I supposed to? I came here to support them. How am I gonna, what am I gonna do now? Like,
Yeah.
I'm looking for a job because I work in construction. Looking for a job, and how am I gonna go to work now? So, long story short, um, I come across, and I've been introduced to Abraham Hicks and
Okay.
Bashar before that time, but not to this level of awareness
Mm.
where I was ready to receive their message. And
Yeah.
so that night that I lost my car, or maybe the second night, because I think that night I lost my car, I was pretty damn pissed off, and I didn't want to like deal with nothing.
Yeah.
Um, the following night, though, I came across Abraham Hicks and Bashar, and there were the messages that they were giving were about the art of allowing and letting go.
Mm.
And I was like, man, it really hit like the spot, and it really supported me with what I was going through at that moment. And I realized, you know what, I'm just gonna allow and let go of what has happened, and then figure out what I need to do right now. What can I do with my situation now? Because it is what it is. There's no
Yeah.
changing
Yeah.
or getting my car out or trying to like break into the freaking, um, into the place and try to like steal my car back.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You can't go to the impound and do that. And so, um, I just said, you know what? I'm gonna figure out how I'm gonna make money. I'm gonna continue putting quotes up on the board. I'm gonna continue doing the family meetings, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes to make whatever money I need to make to get by. And so I went as far as collecting cans. Like, I was collecting cans. I will go out 3 nights, 2 to 3 nights during the week, and I will walk for 3, 4 hours going into the recycle bins to pull out cans and bottles and fill up bags. Every week I would do that for a few weeks. I was doing that. I was selling whatever things that I didn't need. I sold a Suburban that I had that wasn't running. I was just selling whatever I could sell
Yeah.
and collecting cans, and I was getting by. And um, and then I finally got a job. I borrowed my mom's van. I slept in the van for 3 days until I got the job done, which was a framing job.
Mm-hmm.
I did a soffit over a kitchen, and then I met the dude that I'm working for now. I met him at that job, and he goes, "Hey man, I like your work. Would you be interested in some side work?" Well, a month later, he calls me up, and I get started with him. I'm taking the metro. I'm asking people for rides. My uncle is giving me a ride to work, picking up his kids from school, and then picking me up 30 minutes, an hour away, and then driving back through traffic with the kids. He did that
Yeah.
for about 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And work started picking up more. And then my boss had asked me, "Hey, who do you know that knows how to do what you do?" And the first person that came to my mind, even though he didn't know what I did, was my uncle, because he was giving me a ride and he
Mm.
wasn't really working. He was doing little side things on the side, but
Yeah.
I got him a job, so now I have a carpool partner. These are getting better and making some money. And then at the end of 2014, going into 2015, I was invited to this conference, and it was from one of my old friends, and it was last minute. I had totally forgot about it. He invited me like 3 months prior, and he called me the morning of, like maybe in 2 hours before it actually started. He goes, "Hey man, you gonna come out to this seminar that we have going on?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Nah, maybe. I'll see what's up." So I'm sitting there. I'm like, I didn't want to go, but something was telling me go, and so I ended up going. I get dressed, I go, and there was a lot of amazing. There's maybe like 4 or 5 speakers there. They were all great, but there was this one guy. His name is Marcos Orozco, and he got up there and he was talking about social media, and he asked the crowd. He goes, "How many of you are using social media to brand yourself?" Well, there's maybe like 100 people, and like maybe like 10 people raised their hand, and he starts laughing, and he goes, "You have any idea how much you're shooting your business in the foot?"
Mm.
Right? He was not business at the time. He was a real estate office.
Yeah.
And then he said this. He goes, social media is the new media. The old media was TV and the news and everything that they wanted to show us. Social media is our media, where we get to put out the information and the messages that we want to put out to the people. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm gonna do with this,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna do something with it.
Something just
And like
clicks.
it
Yeah.
sparked something in me. And he said this other thing. He goes, "You have any idea that it is possible to send a message or your brand, whatever message you want to put out into social media, and within minutes have hundreds of people, thousands of people, if not millions of people exposed to that message? Do you understand the power in that? Just in a matter of minutes." And I was like, damn, like, I don't know. He got me sparked and he got me inspired to do something.
Yeah.
And so I go home and I'm sitting in my chair, and I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do with this social media thing? Like, this is the only thing that was in my mind. Like, what am I gonna do with this? What am I gonna do with this? And I was like, I like writing quotes. I like inspiring and motivating people. And I had a Instagram account already established, but it was just my personal little Instagram. If you scroll all the way down to my Instagram, which is Benny Esco, we scroll all the way down. I never deleted any of those posts.
Yeah.
Right? I went against the big accounts were advising to do. I didn't want to do that because I wanted people to see like the humble beginnings
Yeah. That's the
of
same with
how it
me.
all
Yeah.
started, you know.
Yeah.
And so I started out just by reposting other people's stuff first,
Yeah.
right? I quote that I like, I reposted it, and then I would like mix it up. I'll put my own little post in there, my own little quote, and it wasn't nothing special, but people were responding. I'll get like 10 likes, 18 likes, 20 likes, and people were like, "Hey, yeah, thank you for the message," and I was like, "All right, this is cool. Like, I like this. This is definitely something I want to do." And so as time went on, I started that. I started doing that around New Year's, 2000, going into 2015, right? So I go Benny Esco. It was Benny Esco 11 at the time, Benny Esco 11, and so I started with the page with the idea of inspiring and motivating people through Instagram, and then something came to me like this. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have no coaching.
Yeah.
I didn't know anybody already doing it. It was just something that I knew I wanted to do, and like these ideas started coming to me, and I just started taking action on them.
Yeah.
And so this idea came to like, hey, reach out to other people who are doing the same thing, and maybe you guys should support each other. And so I reached out to Prosperity Quotes. At the time, his account was Tim something, and I reached out to Mondo Music, which is now Duality One. reached out to Success Diaries,
Yeah.
um, a few other accounts, and there was like a little handful of us, maybe five of us, six of us, and so we had a little group going on, and we're like, cool. And then we started like bringing other people on, and I was like, you know what? I'm very familiar with GroupMe, and it's a great place to get people to gather and have a conversation and keep everyone in one chat room. So I got GroupMe together, and I got the guys in there, and boom, we got a little group going on. And so it grew to like 10, 12, then to like 15 to 18 to 20, and then like three names came out of that group. It was the Founding Fathers, and then it was the Disciples, and then the Global Shift. And uh, th- I came out with the Disciples and Global Shift, and the other guys decided on the Founding Fathers.
Yep.
And so started out there. We started growing, and we got to 20 to 30 accounts, and then our accounts started growing. I was like, cool, this is working.
Yeah.
And so I said, you know what? I need to create a vision. I need to create something for this group to shoot for. And so at the time, it was at the time when I was thinking about it, I was like, man, we can inspire thousands of people. But then when I realized the numbers that were involved in the internet and social media, like I was like, nah, like we could shoot for the millions.
Yeah.
We can inspire and empower millions of people. And so I created the vision. Like our vision is to inspire and empower 1 million plus people and to become one of the greatest positive movements on social media. And then as we began to grow, and as my account began to grow, and the group got to 30, to 40,
Yeah.
to 50, and I was like, all right, that vision needs to get bumped up to a billion plus. And so now the vision is a billion plus, to empower a billion plus people and still to become one of the greatest positive movements on social media. And now getting that started, um, it was going, and just like anything else, dude, like um, here's one thing that I would advise others who are going on this. You could call it an entrepreneur journey, your journey of your passion, the
Yeah.
journey of your purpose, whatever you want to call it. But you're gonna have ups and downs.
Sure.
You're gonna have
Yeah.
you're gonna have failures, and you're gonna make some moves that are not gonna be beneficial. You're gonna give your focus to distractions that are not gonna support you, and for some of you, you're not gonna have to deal with that. But when you do deal with that and understand like what is happening and learn from the mistakes that you make. And I'm saying this because the Global Shift, the group, actually like fell off because I was putting my focus on a relationship, right, that wasn't beneficial, and um, it was taking all of my focus and
Yeah.
distracting me majorly to where I was taking my foot off the pedal, and little
Mm.
by little it began to dwindle the
Yep.
group, right? And so now we are here. The hashtag is still being used. It has over 200,000 tags on it right now.
Wow.
So that like yeah, it's awesome, right? Like a million's just
Yeah.
around the corner,
Of course. Yeah.
2 million or whatever. And so now I'm at a point where I was still focusing on my Instagram account, right? I didn't obviously I'm not letting the Global Shift go.
Mm-hmm.
I had to come to terms with I failed the first time.
Mm.
Like whatever I did didn't work. Like what I allowed to happen was my fault. It was all on me.
Right.
And so I had to come to terms with, all right, I need to start over. I need to go back to the basics. I need to start from ground zero. And it took me a while to like really like accept that,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because like when you build something and then it falls apart, it's like shit.
It's
Like
a big
I
hit.
gotta
Yeah.
over again, yeah,
Yeah.
right. But like when you're really passionate about it and when it's a part of you, you have no choice but to do it.
Yeah. You just keep going. You
And
just
so
keep
I'll
going.
just keep going.
Yeah.
And so I decided that, you know what, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna focus on my page. I'm gonna focus on building my page again, and recommitting that time that is necessary to build, because you got to lead by example. You
Of
know,
course,
you
yeah.
you can't be this mediocre page and expect to build this big gigantic group with other big pages and whatnot. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and start with my page, and then once I get that going and once I get momentum there, then I'll go and jump into the recruiting aspect of building the global ship back up. So that's where I'm at right now.
Okay, yeah. No, that sounds good. I mean, you're saying that there's a lot of ups and downs, and it's good that you've continued through, because I think the first phase that you went through has taught you everything you needed to know to be able to do what you're doing now. And I think a lot of people fall off or are afraid to keep going because they have a fear of failure, and they think, if I fail again, what's going to happen, what are people going to say, and then they take that into consideration, and then they also it's a hit to your self-esteem. As you were saying, you build something up for months and months or years and years, and then it just crashes. But even though it's a hit to you at the time and you might feel a bit upset or let down by it, all the lessons you've learned are now going to be used to build the next stage of whatever you're going to build. And it, literally every failure is a part of the journey to success.
Absolutely.
It's the same path. It's not a different path. It's the same path. It's just
Yeah,
different stepping stones to the end goal, which is success. But it's a perspective. It's the mindset that you have, that you think, oh, I've lost money. Oh, that means it doesn't work. No, you've lost money because you've invested in learning certain lessons that will take you to the next step, which is one step closer to where you need to be.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
And yeah, they're like building blocks.
exactly. Yeah. Everything has a process, as you said. You just look at nature, for example. There's day and night, light and dark, up and down. A tree, something as basic as a tree. You plant the seed, it doesn't grow overnight. You have to water it, nurture it, expose it to light every day for years and years and years for it to grow the way it needs to grow. And we're no different.
Right.
We're part of nature, right? So
Yep.
um, so with Global Shift, then what direction are you taking it now? So you're focusing on yourself, or have you got? Because I remember listening to your podcast with Raymond on. I think it was in December last year on the Social Ray podcast.
Yeah.
You mentioned, I think, on there that you had a few ideas for digital products that you were going to bring out, or you were planning to bring
Yeah.
out at the time. Is that something you're still thinking of doing, or is that something you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. What has happened is the vision. If anything, the vision has gotten greater. The vision has gotten more intense. For me, like when I understand that everything that I experience and everything that I manifest is based on what I have done, not nobody else. And so when I look at myself and I'm like, F that, like I'm gonna bounce back and I'm gonna
Yeah.
do it double,
Yeah.
right? And I'm gonna go harder, and it's gonna be freaking crazy. And so, um, I still see myself on TED Talks. I
Yeah.
still see myself traveling the world, um, speaking at different seminars, different companies, if need be, prisons, schools. It doesn't matter. I'll go anywhere, everywhere where I'm gonna be able to have a positive impact and
Yeah.
influence on the minds and bodies and souls that are in that room, and um, and also come out with some some courses for people to take to help them build momentum,
Yeah.
for different stages. Everyone's at different stages who are ready to reprogram their mind. There's people who don't even understand what reprogramming is. There's people that don't understand what the subconscious is. There's people that just are just like unaware.
Yeah.
And so I want to be able to create courses for each level
Right.
of people, um, and pump those courses out, and create a clothing line as well, for the Global Shift, um, and a bunch of other different products um, that when people use and they see the Global Shift, now they see the word Global Shift,
Yeah.
they will know automatically, the message behind that name. that it represents change, it represents elevation, it represents transcendence of the old and into the new. And that's what I want for the Global Shift. I want it to be a household name.
Yeah.
And when people hear the Global Shift, they're like, I'm about it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love everything that the Global Shift represents.
Yeah.
That is the main, like, that is like where I want it to be. And I know in my heart that as long as I have life, that's what I will always strive for, no matter what happens in my life, no matter what I go through, no matter what challenges pop up. I will always be committed to that vision, no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love it, man. I love, because I can hear it in your voice. You're still passionate. You're still motivated to bring that vision to life. My question for you is, what keeps you motivated? Why do you feel that you're going to come back twice as hard as before? What's driving you? What's the story you're telling yourself?
To answer, dude, like I wish I could explain it in words, but it's like a feeling I have inside. It's like this burning desire. It's this it's a part of me. It's pumping through my blood. I can't get it off my mind. I will go crazy if I will let this vision go. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to live correctly,
Mm.
right? Like I wouldn't
I
feel
feel you.
right
Yeah.
with myself. And so I think one of the main things is that when I think about the thought of me laying on my deathbed, I want to be able to say that I gave it all I got. I don't want to say, "Oh, I wish I would have did that," or "Wish I would have." I don't want to have regret like that at all. Like
Yeah.
I want to make sure that people who are not even alive are influenced and impacted in a positive way because of that vision. That
Yeah.
right there
Yeah.
inspires. That right there is like, it's sexy, it's beautiful, it just feels so good
Yeah.
to think
Yeah.
about that
Yeah.
and to know that I have the ability to do that. So why not do that? Like why settle for some other shit that's not meaningful or fulfilling to me? Like, nah, I need some like meaningful and fulfilling things to manifest in my life, and that right there is the most meaningful shit that I could ever think of.
Yeah.
Besides the relationship and connect with my loved ones, you
Yeah.
know.
Of
Um,
course.
and a big part of it is them,
Yeah.
showing them like what's possible, showing them that, like, hey, like the things I talked about, the things that I said that I was gonna do, I did it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's exactly the same as me. As you were saying that, I completely followed everything you were saying, because my page, and the reason I started my page is exactly the same reason. It started as my own personal brand first, just me posting quotes of other people just like you, and then I started seeing, for me, I started seeing a lot of people posting. It became, over the last few years, it's become, lots of new accounts have come on the scene, and they're just saying the same thing over and over again. Work hard, dream big. There's no new messages out there. So why
Mm.
start something new if there's not a new message you're willing to share or give? I think people need to see something different. Just as you're sharing the global
Yeah,
shift, I can hear it in your voice. It's unique. It's your
yeah,
it's your spin on the world, and that's what we need to bring, and that's what I'm trying to
right,
do with Know Your Legacy. It's every message that I'm trying to bring. It's one that I've never read before, and words that I'm putting into my own style with my own perspective to help people see things the way I see, which I hope brings value to others. And the end goal for mine is to share the same message as you. Have a legacy. Why are you doing what you're doing? Have a message that has something of substance. Every day, the actions you're going through, the routines you're doing, the decisions you make, the connections you make with people, it should be all amounting to something, a message that you're trying to send out. So eventually, when you look back, the people you've affected, the connections you've made, the message you've put out, the things you've created, all leave some sort of positive impact, because we're all going to only be here for a certain number of years, right?
right.
After that, you're gone. So after that time is up,
Mm.
what do you want to be remembered for? And I think you're heading in the same direction with Global Shift, and I love it. That's why I wanted to connect with you and speak to you about it and see what makes you tick. Why are you doing what you're doing? So
I love it.
yeah,
It's my passion. It's my purpose, and that's another thing too. Is like to leave. uh, if there's a message that would lead people, is find your purpose. And if you don't know what your purpose is, figure out what you love doing. Figure out what you're passionate about. It could be music, it could be drawing, it could be sports, it could be acting, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Figure out what that is. Find it. And once you figure out what you love doing, figure out how you can serve the world doing what you love in a positive way.
Yeah.
And then you just pursue that.
That's it.
Pursue that, because that's going to bring the most fulfillment and meaning into your life.
Yeah, no, definitely. And have you, I'm not sure if you've reflected or thought about this, but thinking back on your life now, did you ever see certain traits or in the behaviors that you did, or the people that you met, that would eventually lead you to doing what you're doing today? For example, in school, I used to always be told off for being the person who distracts people because I talk too much. And, you know, I always used to enjoy writing. So my natural interest went towards English, literature, history, economics, where I used to write a lot. And so now it's no surprise that I'll enjoy connecting with people, speaking to people, doing presentations. I see myself doing TED Talks. I see myself, going into companies and talking, networking with people, millionaires and billionaires. And I enjoy writing.
Yeah.
And so, that's why I've written the quotes I've written. So that all came from reflecting in my earlier years that I enjoyed writing and speaking. And now it's shown through and manifested it in this way. Did you have something similar in your early years, thinking back?
I gotta say, it was my rebellious type of ways of not being like everyone else. Like I may not have been good. Like the things I did were bad, but I was outside the box. I was willing to take the risk. I was willing to do things that people were not willing to do, even though they were bad.
Yeah.
That was one characteristic trait that I knew that I had, that I was willing to get up and cuss the teacher out when everyone else wouldn't, or things like that. And another thing was like being around gangs or crews, and running my own crew. It taught me leadership. I knew that I had leadership abilities, because if I could have guys go and write on walls, if I could have guys go and look for other people to go beat up, if I could make a phone call and have this guy beat up this other guy, if I could do that, then I could inspire and empower people to do something positive, So, yeah, those traits, in leadership and willingness to step out the box and to be different, and not to care about what anyone has to say about what it is that I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's something that I feel that I got at a young age.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think we all realize that as we grow up and reflect on the things we did in the past. You can always take positives out of it. So like you said about leadership, at the time you used it for something negative, but now you see yourself using the same skill to impact the world.
Right.
That's amazing, man. So who would you say have been your biggest mentors that have inspired you?
I've had a few. I've had two mentors in my network marketing company. First one, his name's Leonard Trojan. The other one is Efren Tejada. They were, they're beasts in the industry. Another one in that company was Max Nose, another beast in the industry.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with him. Yeah.
Yeah. And then outside of those direct mentors, I gotta say, look at Gandhi, look at Jesus Christ, look at Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King, Napoleon Hill, Andrew Carnegie, Tesla.
Yeah.
Those, and you go take it way back, to, the pharaohs or the emperors of Rome, I look up to anyone who has been willing to create something that most people think is impossible to create.
Yeah.
I look up to those, and I find mentorship from those people.
Yeah. No, that's great. There's a mixed bag of people you mentioned there, but I think you don't have to just learn from the people that are around you and the people that are alive. You can also learn from people that are dead. Meaning
Yep.
people who've lived years before you. Learn the message that they put out and use it for your own. And
Yep.
then reading. That's for me. That's been the biggest connection to mentors over the last few years. Is you can, if you think about it, you can literally have a conversation with some of the smartest people in the world for $5, $10. You buy the book and you're having a conversation with the smartest people. You might not even get a chance to meet them ever, but you can learn everything they know by reading. And I think that's what's driven my hunger for knowledge, because there's 3 or 5 billion people in the world. You can learn so much from everyone that you meet, and you're not going to have a chance to meet everyone. So do what you can to read and learn from where you are, and using the internet, YouTube, podcasts, connecting with the way we're connecting now. You live halfway around the world from where I am, but we're using technology to have this conversation and learn from each other. So
it's awesome.
Yeah, no, definitely. So one final question is, I think we might have covered this earlier, but what would you want, now it's the end of your life, you're on your deathbed, what is the message that you'd want to leave the world with?
Figure out what you want. Make sure that it's something that you love to do, that you would love to have. Commit your whole life to that purpose, and don't let anyone or anything ever stop you from going after what it is that you truly want in your heart. And don't ever give up on it. That's that one message that I would leave, is figure out what you love doing, figure out what brings the most meaning and passion into your life, and commit your whole life to it.
That's a great message, and you're definitely on track to sharing that and making that a reality from everything you're doing. So no, thanks.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for connecting. Thanks for coming on, and I'm
Thank you, bro.
I'm looking forward to sharing this and connect with you again soon. Thanks, brother.
All right, man. You enjoy your day.
You as well. Cheers. Peace, man.